What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Holy shit, do I have the video for you today. Make sure you do not click away, because this one is going to be next level, okay? We got one of the biggest collabs in history taking place in our timeline before our very eyes, okay? So we got Garry Nolan and Jordan Peterson in a wild ass interview. Check this out, okay?
Actually, I'm involved with another group that's funded privately called Skywatcher. And what we're doing is we've been setting up sensor systems in what we call cleared areas where we know that there's no overflight. And we do sometimes work in concert with the FAA and others to make sure where we're setting up for repeatable measurements and sensor systems to see things. And we're seeing stuff that doesn't make sense. And so we're not coming to conclusions, but we're collecting the data. And because I'm a scientist, I'm like their principal advisor to this group. And we're setting up and doing the kinds of measurements that I think are necessary, because I'm not going to wait for the government. You know, I'm not going to wait for daddy government to tell me what's right. I'm a scientist. I'm going to go out and do it myself.
Look at me, guys. I'm daddy government now, bitch. Subscribe, notifications on.
And part of what we're doing is it's two purposes. One, it's basically aerial surveillance, partially just for drones, because we've seen what drones can do in wars. So, and you know about the drone incidents in New Jersey, right? And all of the hubbub that caused. Well, we were actually there. We were actually measuring things.
What was that? What was that?
Some of them were simply drones. Some of them, though, were moving in ways that would be hard to explain by drones. But all the stuff that we observed close to shore was clearly human activity. But so we're setting up Skywatcher as sort of a dual purpose. One is to work with the government to hopefully, or defense contractors, or anybody who wants to pay for our services, to collect aerial data basically as rapidly as possible, because often you can't deploy the necessary equipment on site quickly enough to collect the data when there's an anomaly that shows up. I mean, our principal goal is protection of the United States. But if in so doing, we happen to collect other information about some, let's say, anomalous objects, we will have the tracking data necessary to say, hey, well, we don't understand this.
You guys want to know what really grinds my gears, right? It's that the Trump administration has campaigned on releasing the Epstein files, and everybody's losing their goddamn minds right now. Have you seen the news? Have you seen Twitter? Any social media? It's fucking insane. It's such a fire that's going on right now. And he also campaigned on telling us what the drones over New Jersey was. And I'm as pissed as Ross Coulthard. Like, this was campaigned on, and it was the absolute biggest flop. He's not doing anything that he campaigned on, and that should be illegal, you know? There isn't a worse character trait than that.
The thing about Skywatcher is that we, at least in a limited sense, have a signal that can be released that sometimes it seems to attract these objects. And so that's where the repeatability attempt is coming in.
Explain that a bit more.
So because it's a company and I'm not the official spokesperson for it, and this is public information that's out there, is that there's a signal that an individual as part of Skywatcher had determined when he was working with the military, it wasn't his purpose to develop it, so he didn't take anything out. It was sort of he noticed something, and then he refined the technique, and now he knows that he has, let's say, an electromagnetic sequence that he can release that somehow seems to have these objects show up. And I was there when it happened. We go out on these week-long events in like the middle of nowhere and stuff shows up. And, some of it's been some of it's, you can go find it on Twitter. But the stuff that's on Twitter isn't good enough, in my opinion. I'm more interested in the data that we're more recently collecting with better cameras and better sensor systems. Because the idea is just to do the science.
Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I'm thinking it too. I mean, I've never seen Jordan Peterson not talk in these videos. He's always yapping the fuck away. The smartest fucking professor, right? And now he finally has met his match, or his better match, when in terms of ego. I think Garry Nolan beats Jordan Peterson. And this is what we're seeing here. That's what's playing out. But it's interesting conversation nonetheless. I just don't know. Who do you think has the biggest ego, right? But yeah, both are really, they're okay.
Just to follow up on the two methods, I'm curious to know how you determined that these two methods were worthy of experimenting with. Is there a history of military use of these methods? And are there any other methods that you are aware of that you haven't yet integrated into your field experiments?
Yeah, good question. So we got here because there is a history with it. So members of our team that we put together under Skywatcher, like my partner James Fowler, who's been making his way out there as of late, telling his story. He was featured in episode 2 of Skywatcher, and he's out there doing podcasts now. James is the engineer of our dog whistle system that was originally, it's where our name Skywatcher comes from. It's a Skywatcher system that he put together in his past life, if you will, and has been deploying the dog whistle system, which we did call Skywatcher, and has been conducting operations for a number of entities in the government and outside of the government for years now. It's been a system that's been developed, I would say, mostly over the last 6 years, and has proven itself to be unique in the form that nobody else seems to be able to mimic its results, let alone the method. And I do have to say, like, we do keep the dog whistle configuration and how we do it. We keep that pretty close to our chest, and that's not because we're being unreasonably secretive. It's our secret sauce, and it's something we're very proud of, and a lot of time and energy has been invested in developing that system. And we aren't sure exactly how serious the implications are of running this equipment. So I think there's as much responsibility in keeping this private and trying to get as many government agencies involved who have the responsibility when it comes to national defense and also air domain awareness. And so we're trying to work with them to make sure that, because there's a Pandora's box here that could be opened. And if we aren't prepared to deal with that, that could pose a number of problems.
I don't know what the fuck Bobby is on about with this. Be careful when you unveil. You don't know if you're gonna like what comes out the black box. Yeah, we want to know what comes out the black box, and we have waited enough, right? We are sick of it. Give us disclosure and give it to us now. If you have made it until this point, I appreciate the fuck out of you individually, okay? Leave a like, share, everything helps out a ton. We're trying to grow this channel so much. Jules has been a really big help, all the local people on this channel. We got a Discord, we got an X account. Come and, interact. Premieres every single day. Just join up, talk in the top chat, guys. Appreciate all of it, okay? I will be mentioning people as they become more active. And
To close up here, I think it would be useful for you to let us know, if you would, what the hell you think is going on. And what this has done to you too. This has got to kind of come out of left field, so to speak, in a severe way. And so I imagine it's put a bit of a bump into your life. I mean, maybe one that's mostly interesting, but still, it's to call it strange is to barely scrape the surface. So what do you make of this?
That there's something non-human here, and it's been here for a long time, is my provisional conclusion. And, the question is not...
Says this and does not release anything that backs up this claim. What a fucking scientist, right, guys? These two guys are so smart. Meanwhile, these two were born in a fucking first world country with rich ass parents, and talk about privilege, am I right?
And that people should ask is not, is there something here? You have to ask the question first, can there something be here? And the short answer is, of course there can, because the universe is 14 billion years old. You could have gotten from one side of the galaxy to the other in our galaxy in Elon Musk's Tesla if it were traveling at 10,000 miles an hour, right? But what got on in the first place doesn't mean the same thing as what gets off on the other side. So, yes, the short answer is something can be here. What it is, I'm not 100% sure, and I feel very uncomfortable with the sightings of biological beings, if only because they just look a little too much like us, and I just can't see from a genetics point of view why the human form is so, or even 2 legs and 2 arms is necessarily biologically the most successful shape. So I think there's something here. I think the data, the evidence of the hypothesis, there's more than enough evidence to say that it's worth investigating. So I would ask my colleagues to just hold their sarcasm for a while, because how do you deny thousands of reports like this? I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I did get a phone call from somebody representing the White House because I was talking about something that they felt was a little too on the edge. They said, "You need to just shut up, Garry."
I've said this publicly, so I'll say it again. Here, I was personally threatened because I knew of a conversation that happened somewhere. And I alluded to it in the most elliptical fashion on a public broadcast. Literally a couple of days later, I get a phone call from a friend saying, XYZ at the White House is really pissed at you, and you should not ever say anything like that again because Title 18 applies. I said, what does that mean? Lethal force is operable. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God.
I put down the phone and I honestly...
Okay, so I'm not saying this is true. It might be, but I'd have no fucking idea. Can we get in touch with a law person? People who know law should be able to answer this, right? I understand the level of secrecy, but if free speech, that is a constitutional right, isn't it? How can the secretive laws, who passed this? Did the American people approve of this? This is pretty insane when we're assuming that this is in fact factual. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is possible?
Yeah, but I nearly broke down in tears, and I called a reporter friend of mine to just basically report it to them, to say, this just happened to me. I was just threatened. Mm-hmm. Because they knew what I was saying. Nobody else would have known what it was what I was alluding to.
Regardless of whether or not it's aliens, if they think you're disclosing their secure information, you might not be safe.
Well, I wasn't supposed to know it because I heard it from a friend who wasn't supposed to tell me in the first place. Mm-hmm. But
if I had such a big ass ego like fucking Garry Nolan, right? Go public with this shit. I ain't gonna be fucking, blackmailed or threatened because of what I know or this or that nature of reality. Fucking put it all up. Is Lazar dead? Is Weaponized dead? They've been releasing clips. Is that shit not classified under the specific thing you mentioned. Like, there are workarounds. What are you doing? Become a whistleblower. What is even going on? Guys, everybody watching right now, if you've made it to this point, holy shit, you're the best, okay? We are so close to 500 subs. It's like 6 away, 5 away. It's literally, we are on the knife's edge, and I appreciate us getting here. If anybody's watching this who is in fact not subscribed, and a lot of people should be watching that are not subscribed based on these statistics, if it is indeed accurate, right? But yeah, I would appreciate that. And yeah, leave a like, it's free. Subscribe, it's free. The red button down there, the like is free, and it helps out more than you fucking know, okay?
I've briefed Canadian Parliament. I went to your Parliament in Toronto, and I briefed all 3 parties on it. The only ones who didn't want to hear anything were the separatists. So interestingly, but no, I spent 2 days there on that. And we've briefed the European Parliament as well on it, and they're aware of what some of their own military are talking about. So that I conclude that there's definitely something here. But I think the more interesting conclusion is if something is here, it's likely been here longer than humans have even been civilized. So it really opens the question. And actually, it's something that I think Charles Fort actually said is, Earth is probably somebody else's property.
Well, that's a hell of a place to end. So I think we will end there.
Mm-hmm. And right there, you don't even own anything you think you do. Real estate, gone, guys. Fucking everything you know is gone. It's not ours. It's the aliens, okay? So we're just borrowing this land. If you buy a house, yeah, get enough rental out of that shit before it's gone, okay? This is not our planet, right? And in conclusion, enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Fucking degenerate.
Coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, my future.